friends, this is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average Canadian wolf pack come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A safe space where being yourself is the ultimate goal. Each week we will bring you new episodes, sharing our experiences on a ton of different topics, in hopes we get a better understanding of ourselves, each other, and this crazy world we live in. We want to build a community where we can show up as ourselves, be real, and lay it all out there. By sharing our experiences, we hope to reach others who can relate so we can all help each other learn, grow, and heal. But please keep in mind, as a disclaimer, none of us here are professionals, no one is giving any advice. We are strictly speaking of our life experiences and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. We are here at the Be Real Babe podcast on our fourth episode. I am your host, Brandy, and here with me today is my beautiful co-host,
Hey guys.
Kayla. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about body image again, but we have some special guests here today, and I'm going to get Kayla to introduce
All
you.
right, so our very first guest here with us is the ever beautiful longtime friend, Lexi Adam. Lexi, how are you doing?
I'm doing so good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh, me too. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
We are so thankful that you're here. Thank you so much for showing up for us as you always do, and then being our very first official guest on our very first guest show. So thank you again. And before we get started and we jump into these questions, can you give our little community a little bit about yourself so they kind of get an idea of who is the infamous Miss Lexi?
Yeah, of course. I grew up in a small town a little bit outside of Grand Prairie, born and raised there. I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and I now have 3 children of my own. My daughter's 10 and my twin boys are 7. And we're just doing the thing, the kids, the sports, the school, the COVID, all of the things. And I think we're all just kind of making our way through this crazy thing called life. And that's about it.
Yeah, we're huge fans of the kids.
Oh.
And you. I mean, we love you, but
Those kids.
Those are some good things. Yeah.
They're pretty great. And I tell everybody this, I don't know where, I know this sounds like super lame and cliche, but I don't even know where my life would have ended up if I didn't have Bria when I was 20.
Right.
So I don't even think I was headed down a super great path. And then I had her and it was like, no, like you're only 20, but you got to get your shit together. If not for yourself, for your daughter, and for all the people who are expecting you to fail, really. So here I am at 31, and I think I'm doing all right.
Oh my God, girl, you're doing amazing.
So amazing.
Thank you.
I literally just got chills.
And I think,
oh, thank you.
I know, me too.
Aww.
I think too, that's a really good point. And I really would love to actually have a whole episode dedicated to those that had kids at a younger age and those like later to have the difference. But I think it's super important because I hear that quite a bit, Lexi, that you're saying that, that you had to step up and, even if you couldn't care for yourself, you knew that you could care for your daughter, and that changed your life. And I've heard that a lot, and I would really love to get to dive deeper into that, and because that's I had my first cat I think at like 27, so teach me these things.
Oh my God, I love you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think some people are meant to have kids young, and some people are meant to have them later in life once they figure out their career and stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, and in my case I had them young, and then that could just kind of kickstarted a bunch of other things for me. So
it's wonderful. Yeah. I love.
Yeah.
All right. On to the next.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask you about if you have any online influencers. Wow, my blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
But yeah.
First recording in her 30s.
Look at me go.
Yeah, you're doing awesome. I do. I have my own life coach. And I've used her, I would say off and on for a couple of years. Her name is Lindsay Mango, and she is just incredible with every single thing that she does. She's so gracious and humble, and yet she has, she just doesn't settle for any of her own bullshit. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I should have asked that. Okay.
100
Okay.
Yes.
She just doesn't fall for any of her own bullshit excuses. And So when she's coaching you, it's this, you know, dance between, yes, I see where you're coming from, but why are you letting that stop you? And she's incredible. And then another one that I just really love is Brooke Castillo. She owns the Life Coach School, and I just find her stuff fascinating. And when it pertains to body image, especially, she's who I really kind of look to when I'm having a hard time viewing myself. She kind of says this thing around like taking photos of yourself, and she said, I love every photo ever taken of myself. And you're like, what? You're crazy. You probably look funny in some of them. I mean, we all do. And she's just like, but in that moment, that's the way that my body looked. That's the way that my face looked. And I love that because I love myself. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's fascinating. Like so that's one of my goals, is to, you know, to start with things like that. Loving every picture taken of myself in any situation. So yeah,
because it's you and it's your real life. And that's what the most important, I think for most people, the most important breakthrough is finding those ways. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, the full love, but finding those little ways that you can, and those tools to help you get to that space. And that's why we wanted to share online influencers, or people that, you know, online is just easier right now, right? So
100%.
Things that we can't really connect and, you know, go to groups and stuff right now. So doing that, I think, is super helpful. And I love how everyone brings other people to this table. And then now we're just going to have this plethora of online influencers to help and be resources. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. And they both have Instagram, and they both have podcasts, and they're just incredible people. So
awesome.
Perfect. We'll make sure on your episode that we will link them. I love that. So before we get into we will get into the questions, but one thing that I love that you said when you were kind of promoting the episode is that, you know, you have shared a lot with your body image issues over the time, especially on the physical scale, like let's say before and afters, but you said you didn't really get a chance to share the mental aspect or the emotional aspect of that. So I just really love that. And I just want to thank you for, before we jump into these questions, thank you for being open with that, because a lot of people, you know, are scared to. So we're hoping that this inspires people to, you know, own their story and use it as motivation.
Yeah. Well, I think especially online and right now, everyone wants to see the physical part, which is interesting because I find that's the least part that you can relate to. You know, Brandy, I can't relate to your before and afters because my body will never look like that. You know, our bodies are so different, but your emotional side, the struggles, the empowering part is probably more relatable than you think. But people, that's not the sexy part. You know, people don't really want to hear that right off the bat. They want to see the before and after because that's the sexy part.
For sure. And that's the instant gratification part.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Totally. Yep. All right, girls, are we ready to get into these questions?
Definitely.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's start with our very first one. Super simple, super basic, Lex. So what are some ways that you suffer with body image issues?
I think the expectations part, just the expectation that people have of women in general, how we are supposed to look. But then on the flip side, you know, you're not supposed to be high maintenance. So I struggle with the, you know, okay, people want you to look a certain way, but then they don't understand that takes 3 hours a day in the gym to look like that. And to look like that, you can't go out for fun dinners. You can't go out for drinks with friends. You can't do that. So the body image that is attached to all of that is the hardest part for me, honestly. And just finding the balance between being able to go out for friends to be able to go out for drinks with friends and not be in the gym every day, and then just relaxing into what does my body look like when I'm enjoying myself. You know, it's not going to be ripped and shredded, obviously. Yeah, I think that would be my answer for that.
I like that.
That's totally, yeah. It's I think it's a very common thing, like you said, when we might not be able to relate to the physical struggles, like what I struggle with at the gym is not going to be the same that you do, but the emotion that, like, you know, I feel the same way. Like, it's going to still take me 3 hours at the gym, and I'm going to have to eat a certain way, and that costs money. And there's, you know, there's all those things to it. And is it worth giving up all those other things that you enjoy in life?
Yeah. And I think everyone goes through that imbalance of it at first, where you think it is worth it, and you're you're grinding your butt off and you're doing all this stuff. And then you're so far extreme in it that you're like, okay, this isn't quite what I wanted. Now let's, come back a little bit, take a few steps back and figure out where I'm enjoying myself, but I also feel comfortable, in my jeans.
For sure. For sure. And there's like a level of wanting to have that health aspect too, right? Like, for you, I'm sure you feel the same way. I feel the same way. I know if I'm going to eat, my veggies and my good things, I'm going to feel better. And when I eat a week of French fries every day, I know I feel like garbage.
Yes, 1,000%.
Right? So you're finding that balance. I love that.
I actually really like that, what you said about that, because it's kind of literally where I am. Because I went from, well, Lexi knows from before, I was super jacked, and then I got pregnant, and then it's been a long time since then, and I've just basically found the balance now where I will be like, I'm not worried about weighing every day. I'm not worried about weighing my food every day. I eat good because I've been eating good long enough that it's just like, it's just flowing better. So I like that. I like what you said about that.
Yeah. And Kayla, I remember watching you, struggle with your pregnancy, going from having this body, and that being a lot of your self-worth, to then getting pregnant. And you just kind of, I think we all go through that, because so much of our self-worth is in the way that we look at some point, that when it changes, your self-worth, goes out the door for a little bit too, until you're like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. But Kayla, I remember, seeing you struggle with that. And so I think that you've done amazing.
It was
bouncing back.
It was crazy, man. And it's just having friends like you, and even I wish I would have known Brandy back then, even, because she would have been an amazing hype queen throughout that, because it was hard,
Oh, 1,000%.
You're skinny, you're fit, and then all of a sudden, boom, like nothing looks the same. And it was a full-on identity crisis. And I kind of don't like saying that, but it was. A lot of it was wrapped up in how I looked. And now I'm more beautiful on the inside, and it just comes out on the outside now. I'm not so worried about it.
Yes.
So I like that.
Me too.
I think the question, next one's mine. I get to ask. I'm very excited about this. So, Lexi, what parts do you struggle with the most?
About my own body?
So. I think that's the way this is going. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you say is your most struggle, or one that you have to, let's say, talk yourself back from or fight yourself on?
That's a hard question.
Like for me, it's my acne. It's always my acne. That's always something that will always be for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay. And when I look at you, Brandy, I'd never, ever, ever see it. So
I know it's one of those ones that's inside my head. And it was really, but that's, it doesn't even necessarily have to relate to your physical body, just your whole image. When we're saying, like you said, everyone expects you to do all these things, have your makeup done, have your hair done, your nails did, your eyebrows, your eyelashes, and there's just no time for that in my life anyways right now.
No, because there's a trade-off for that.
Exactly. Yeah. So which one would you say that you struggle with the most in that aspect in your whole physical being?
I think the paradigm that I had, growing up as a kid, and not making that mean anything negative about myself. So I was a dancer for 15 years. I did ballet, tap, jazz, hip hop, lyrical, modern, Scottish dancing, like all the things. And when you are a dancer, you have to look a certain way. Like you just do. You're in tights and a bodysuit 90% of the time, which shows every ounce of extra fat you have on your body. And you're jumping around, and they expect you to look a certain way. And it was like this every single, after summer, you wouldn't be dancing as much, and you'd be relaxing, and you're on holidays, and you're just not moving your body as much. And then September would come, and it would be, you've gained 5 pounds. You need to have that off again. You have to diet or do extra cardio or do this, do that, kind of, you have to work harder for kind of the relaxing that you did in the summer. And I've always, I think, just been naturally a little bit thicker, and it never honestly really bothered me until someone kind of made me feel like something had gone wrong because it wasn't bothering me. You know, like people
Yes.
would say, once I got out of high school, they were like, oh yeah, like, well, didn't you want to be skinny? And I'm like, I never thought of myself as not skinny. This is just my body. Like, I never really related my body to being skinny or fat until someone else made me question that.
Yes. 100%.
And then that's when it started for me. I got pregnant and again, wasn't overly concerned about it. But then afterwards I had my daughter and she was a year, and I remember looking at a picture and I was just like, well, I actually am fat.
Aww.
So, you know, I better, as a mom or whatever, I still better do something about it. And I worked my ass off and I lost probably more weight than I should have. But then with the weight loss comes the extra skin on my stomach. And so this long-winded answer, I'm sorry, I would say the part that I always struggled with was my stomach, just it not looking the way that I felt it matched the rest of my body. It always felt different after I had kids. It always felt like it wasn't mine. You know, I think I have a pretty strong body, but then I would have this extra flabby skin on my stomach. No matter how much weight I lost, how much cardio I did, nothing changed it. It was just always there. And it was like, how can I work so hard and this part of my body be so gross, you know?
I get that.
And yeah, I think I can't speak for most women, but I think a lot of women is their stomach. And for whatever reason, like who made up the idea that a flat stomach is sexy?
Some
like
hungry bitch.
Like
some
where did that
hungry
even
little bitch. She's gonna say it.
Like where did that even come from? Like like when you think about it, it just boggles my mind.
Well, yeah, especially when you look back in history, you know, and you look back in whatever. I'm not a historian. I'm not great at words, but back in the day, you know, thicker women were the rich.
Yes, because they were eating good because
they were eating
it was
good.
A sense of status because of
it was a sense
they
of
were
status.
Eating. Yeah.
And I want to say, even though I don't want to say, but I want to say once the entertainment industry and the Hollywood really came out more, I think that's when a shift of like everybody on the TV for the most part were this certain image.
Yes.
And so I think that just started and it just kind of evolved from that. Like think about our generation to Gen Z, for example. We, of course, are going to develop body issues more than, say, like our grandparents and parents because we have more TVs in the thing. We started having computers like later in teen, like, but it was a little bit more accessible. You know, there was more magazines geared towards teens, you know, so we've seen that. Now look at this generation. They have that at their fingertip for free all day, every day.
And cameras on themselves too. How many times as a kid did you check the mirror for what you looked like? You'd go to the bathroom in junior high and be like, oh, shoot.
Oh, there's a booger.
Yeah. Shit. My pants aren't even buttoned up properly. Jeez. Yeah. And now you have access to a camera on your phone that tells you, you know, if you have one hair out of place, like, and it's an addiction, I think, to look at yourself and just make sure that you look the way you're supposed to look.
100%. And it makes me sad too. And these filters too, like, I think what it did too over time without us really knowing, because we're kind of the first generation as adults to kind of obviously go through this. And I didn't realize how damaging it was when I'm like, wow, I don't like a picture of myself now without a filter. And, you know, I've heard some random things where they kind of, it sounds like, I don't know if this is true. Sorry, can come at me if this is wrong. But I heard that they kind of make the camera without the filter kind of a little worse. So you're kind of apt to use like the portrait mode and the, you know, and so I don't know if that's just in like Snapchat or if that's like all, but it was just kind of like, no matter what, you kind of look like trash until you put the filter on. Then all of a sudden you're just like, you know, and it just makes me sad. And I hope that we're putting out just as much as the filters as we are real, so that those, you know, the kids can, at least when we seen the magazines, we knew that was photoshopped. We knew that was like glammed, right? Yeah. Now it's like everyday people are glammed and you're like, what? Every day I'm supposed to look like this? What? Not into that.
That unrealistic expectation. Yeah.
Totally. So then, Lexi, you're saying that it was kind of just out of high school that people had made a note to you about, and I can relate to you, and there's other girls that we've talked to that can relate, that you didn't really think about your size as an issue until someone else brought it up. And would you say that was the first time you really noticed anything about your body, is right after right after high school? Was that the first time that you noticed anything?
Well, it was always in dance, always, you know, when I'd
cool.
come back from summer and my teachers would say like, yeah, like you've gained weight. And we all did, you know, we were kids. You know, and to
Ice cream.
yeah, but you'd put on your skin tight bodysuit and they could tell. And that's not, you know, they wanted everyone to look the same and they wanted everyone to look fit and all these things. And so at a young age, you are taught, like, honestly, I have held in my stomach my entire life, just being taught that. I know how to suck it in and breathe at the same time because we were taught that at 6 years old. You to look the dancer part, you know, because if you just let your stomach go, it might not be fat, but it bows out and they don't like that silhouette. Do you know what I mean? So but
you get the Instagram booty and the butt goes out and you curve your back.
Yeah. So as a dancer, you learn to hold in your stomach 24/7. And and then, so I think it was just mixed between, you know, your coaches wanting you to perform for them and the expectation they have of you. But then also, after high school, it was more adults and people my age too. You know, questioning why I didn't think the way that I looked was a problem.
Me? I'm sorry. I knew you in high school and I thought you were stunning. I still think you're stunning. So I'm just like, I would have knocked somebody out.
Oh, thank you. And
we all needed the feisty Kayla in our lives.
We did. But then, you know, people questioning that. And then I would look at people like you, Kayla, with the perfect skinny bodies. And I'm just like, you're right. I don't look like that. And then I made it a problem. Yeah.
And then you started obsessing with it in a sense.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And then it's just like, that's all you think about. And then it's just like right from that age, it's just on your mind. And then now you're in your 30s and you're like, okay, how do I take this demon thought out of my pathways so it's just not there, redirect where it's going?
Yes. I just, decided that, I've lived 30 years of my life experiencing that shame and that guilt and that part of my life. And I just like don't want to experience it anymore. So
totally,
like I've done it. I've experienced the shitty part of my bodies and I just want to do it.
Yep.
Put it to bed.
And it's almost like you're done with yourself. Like I'm like, okay, I'm annoyed that I'm still this way, so I'm just not going to be this way anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No other way around it now. You've tried this for so long.
Let's just live with it.
Yeah, try something else.
So, let's try something else here.
All right. Okay. So before we get too, carried away, I'm just like, oh yeah, I got to ask questions here. So, all right. How, Lexi, has other people's views of your body made you feel now and past tense as well?
How have other people's opinions about my body made me feel?
Yeah.
Good and bad. I would say in the past, mostly bad, because it was this constant spin cycle of me having so much worth in my body. So then I would do the Instagram posting. You know, you'd post a photo of your body on Instagram because you don't like it, but you're hoping other people do. So then you get the compliments. And then that feels good. And then mixed with, say there's a hot guy at the gym and you're trying to get his attention, but he's paying more attention to the skinnier one and not you. And then you make that mean something about your body. And then you go back into that spin cycle of getting approval because you didn't get it from that person. So then you go into, I need it from someone else. And so I would say in the past, I did a lot of that and not even paying attention to how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to look, how, if that was my daughter doing that, how upset I would be that she thought there was anything wrong with her body, and now I honestly just don't really give a fuck.
I'm here for it.
Yes. You don't need the validation anymore.
No. And if some stranger on the internet called me fat, I would just, I'll
thanks for sharing.
Go away. Yeah.
Dude, I've I've been called fat too on
Yeah.
Instagram, and I was like, at one of my thinnest, I was like, okay, I'm almost dying, but I'm fat. Okay. And I had no boobs, so that was disappointing.
Well, it always is, right?
I'm like, y'all, I know you're preaching to the choir. Yes. Super disappointing over here.
You're
too,
like, what do you mean these double D's?
Yeah, these double minus
peck to nipple, boys. Peck to nipple.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
Yeah.
And that's so true. And, I'm like super proud of you for like admitting that and saying that, because I've done the same things in the past. I really have to think about when I'm doing a post on my body and on my fitness journey, is this something I'm posting because I want to inspire and motivate people, or am I doing this to get validation because I'm not feeling good about myself right now?
And even that awareness, Brandy, is huge, because not a lot of people have that awareness.
Nope. And so that's why I kind of like have this thing with myself now. Sorry to cut you off, where it's like, I have to, like, if you look at my Instagram, it's like always like quotes as much as there is like pictures and pictures of other things just besides my fitness. And I changed a lot where it was just all fitness, because at that point, that's what I was searching for, is that validation from people. But now it's like, no, I just want to put it up here to, I like the memories coming back after. That's really great. I love the motivation, but it's not like where I'm craving that, all those likes and those hits, because if that was the case, I would just take my clothes off all the time and just post that for me. For me.
No,
so,
100%.
I went back, you go to your top 9, and I would guarantee you most people, you're half naked in most of those top 9 pictures on Instagram that were most liked. You're not wearing clothes. So, thank you for admitting that. And I will also admit that and throw myself right under that bus, that I definitely for a long time did that. I still do that from time to time, but not as much. Not as much.
And it's now my rule of thumb when it comes to posting a photo of my body on the internet is, would I be okay with my kids seeing this? If they came across this picture, what would they say about me? And that's that's just my rule of thumb now. And if it's not something that I would like them to see, then I don't want anyone to see it. So why would I post it?
Totally. Because it's in there forever. I mean, you could take it, you think you could take it down, but screenshots are things.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that want to screenshot something that really doesn't have to do with them sometimes, just to have that on someone. And I, if I was a parent, I feel like I would feel the same way.
And now,
I mean, there's woman empowerment, and like you said, like there's, it's not like you're not going to stand up, but being it in a way that you would make your daughter proud and being like, yeah, that's my mom. She's strong and beautiful, not just being like, oh my goodness, that's my mom. What is she doing?
Yeah. And now,
I mean, you want to do that. You want to do that with like awkward stuff, but not like, like, why is she singing happy birthday on the top of her vehicle in the middle of the high school? Like that stuff. Yes. But not the, hey,
oh my gosh. I never even, you know what, you guys, I'm a mom, and that literally, I don't think I've ever had that in my brain. I'm going to start thinking like that.
That's how my anxiety works. I think about things that don't even matter.
Well, it just, Bria now, like she has an iPod.
She's getting older.
And she can Google. And that's when that was very apparent that, just that. I don't let my kids have my phone. They don't even know the passcode to my phone. They've never been on my phone, but it does worry me that if I was to post a photo, like in a sexual context, that they would be able to see it one day. And that just like terrifies me so much. I've never seen my mom. I've never seen a photo of my mom being sexy or sexual, or I've seen her in like our family photo albums, like in a bathing suit, and that's it. So so why would I expose my kids to anything different?
That's totally fair. That's absolutely fair. I love that, because I feel like to me, it's kind of like you're being more of the parent and setting a very healthy environment and boundaries for them, instead of just trying to be their friend and giving them what they want because that's what's popular and cool.
Yes.
Not saying that that's what other parents are doing, before I get shaded here. I just really love the parents that are very still old school in that, where it's like, limited on social media and those types of things, because they're just too distracted for that right now. Their little minds have other things that they have to worry about, that we would hope that they would worry about anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So to the people that people have made comments, do you remember any specific comment that kind of bothered you the most? Is there anyone that kind of like sticks out to you that you've kind of, we let go of it, but still to this day think about?
I don't
Nice.
think so.
Good.
No. No, I would say just general sexual comments from men. Like that's, and where they think that their
Valid.
opinion is needed or wanted, I really, if any men are listening, it is not your job to comment on a woman's body. Like,
True.
that's not your place. Even if she asks, just, there's so many other things about women that are more incredible than their bodies, and focus on those. Like, yeah, I would say no, like none stand out specifically, but I would just say there's just like this, just like a ugh feeling. I think when I would think about any comments being made about my body, it would probably be just from men. Yeah.
Yeah. And that sexual connotation where it was just not appropriate.
Yeah. And yeah.
And like, it's nice to, and I think that's where we fall back and forth to this argument. It's like, you can say something nice. Like, obviously I want Grant to tell me I'm beautiful and my ass is perfect and everything is great about me. And I think that that's something that's like great to say once you've established that relationship. But I think before that, I think for us, we just find that like kind of annoying. Like, okay, cool. But do you know that I can do this, or I do this, or I do that? Like, we've always said that's the least important thing about me. So, until you're together and they're positive ones in a relationship, I agree that those comments should just not be a part of the conversation.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being attracted to people or thinking that they are good looking or anything like that. But to make that the focus and to assume that that's what a woman wants to hear. Yeah, I think you're right. There's other things that you can compliment on and focus on. And then when there's a time and a place, yeah, go for it. Like I've been in relationships in the past where my body was so valued that I would go to every great length to make sure that it looked good all of the time, because you're keeping up with someone who also values their body before they valued their own mind. And it's exhausting trying to keep up with it. But you know that that's what you have to do to keep that relationship strong, because that's the basis of the relationship.
Totally understand
and
that.
Now, like, I could now go in the relationship that I'm in weeks without hearing any compliment about myself, and it doesn't even faze me. Like,
you don't have to question.
No, oh my gosh, never question it. Never, not once. Never. So it's so interesting. But then the funny thing is, when I say I get dressed up and I'm like, damn, I look good, and then I don't hear anything, I make it mean something. But that's my own. Yeah. So then if you go out of your way to make yourself look good and you don't hear anything, you're immediately like, oh my gosh, why isn't he saying anything? Yeah. But that's just your brain, creating something that it's used to in the past.
That's an awesome way to look at it, actually.
Totally. And just because it was a response doesn't mean it was a healthy response in the past, or what was conducive to your growth as a person for the future.
Yes. Yeah. So on one hand, I preach about, I want to be known for how smart I am and how kind I am and how I'm a good mom. But then on the other hand, when I'm not getting that instant gratification when I think it's warranted, you kind of get a little pissy and you have to check yourself.
Absolutely. It's balanced though, just with everything else.
Yes.
It's like, tell me I'm smart, funny, and cool and generous, but then also when you're opening the door for me, smack my ass and tell me it looks good. Like, there's a nice balance to be respectful, but like a little daddy disrespect
I know.
for a while doesn't hurt. You know what I'm saying?
I agree 100%. Would you say, Lexi, would be a misjudgment that people have made about your body, or that you have maybe made about your body?
Probably the idea around, and I know that this is super common nowadays too, a lot of people are having so much awareness around it, but just that looking good doesn't mean feeling good. And 9 times out of 10, the better someone looks, or the skinnier someone looks, the harder they are on themselves and the worse their mindset is. And they're probably not in a good place. And especially around people who work out all of the time. if you're in that spot where you're at the gym for 3 hours a day and you look bomb 365 days of the year, why do you feel the need to overcompensate? And why are you so, I don't know, just, probably just that
I
looking
agree
good
with that
doesn't mean feeling
100%.
good, and just the whole awareness around
Because we
that.
kind of, you and I,
Totally,
like, I don't know about Brandy, like with your relationship history, but Lexi and I have both been in relationships with people that were very gym oriented. And like, it's funny that you say that, because I remember also, like, before I started, I remember thinking like, oh my God, look at that person. She's so fit. Like, she must be so happy. And like, you know, she looks so good naked. Like, no wonder she's just strutting around. Like, and same with guys. I'd see hot guys and I'd be like, holy crap. Like, he probably just walks around shirtless all the time, because I would. But when you get to that point where you're going through all that yourself, you realize what little worth there is in all of that. And that's when you start breaking out of the habits and the system that says that you have to be so torturous to yourself just to be an ounce of happy. It's like, no, I want to be many ounces of happy. I'm going to let all the rest of this go so I can just be happy.
Yeah. And I think, so to add to my answer, I think that a misjudgment would be then, you assume that you are going to be happy once you have achieved the body you want. And if you talk to, most people in the fitness industry, they kill themselves to get there. And then once they're there, they're like, the fuck? Like, I did all that for what? Like, so I think if you're going to, put yourself in a position where you have a goal in mind to look a certain way, you better focus on enjoying the process and enjoying the ride to get there, or else you're not going to be happy once you get there.
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody thinks that way. And I think you learn that lesson over and over and over and over. And it's like the most repetitive lesson is that, oh, once I hit this goal, or once I lift this much, or once I lose this much weight, or once I gain this amount of muscle, I'm going to be happy with my body. But if you're not working inside on, those patterns and those thought processes and the body image issues and the anxiety attached to that and all of that, if you're not also working on that, you get to that goal, you're going to find something else.
100%.
You're going to be like, oh, okay, now I'm here and I'm at the goal weight and I'm still not happy. That must mean that I need to make another goal to get to, and then I'll be happy.
Yes.
Instead of, like you said, Lexi, now just like looking at pictures. And that was, a really good point. And that's one of my goals for this year for my body image is like, having to sit in the mirror and just be like, okay with looking at yourself in the mirror. And that instead of just being like, okay, I got to do it in the mirror and run. So I have spent the least amount of time like sitting in front of it. Where did that develop? Like, am I on acid every single time I look in the mirror? I'm like, hey, don't look in the mirror. Don't look in the mirror. It's not a good idea. They say if you do acid, don't look in the mirror.
You're so funny.
No, it's true. And I think that's the same thing with my misjudgment is that, so let's say for you, when you were at your, let's say going into competitions and at that like ideal fit time of your life, when that was your literal everything, that you were happy, but you're just like everyone else. We're like, no, once I got to that, until I addressed the other things, that fitness goal or wherever I reached didn't make me my internal happiness, because it's not what's going to make you eternally happy.
And that's why I didn't jump back on the wagon when shows started opening up again. Everyone asked me like, are you doing the show? Are you doing the show? And I had to really think about why I was doing the show last year in the first place. And I didn't have a solid enough answer. So I never went back into prep. I didn't know if I was doing it for myself, and I didn't know if I was doing it for my ex, and I wasn't solid in my answer, so I never did it again.
And you would know if that was for you. It would be an automatic, let's go.
Yes, 1,000%. But I didn't know, so I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, and that was probably your first flag to being like, okay, well, I know me, and when it's something that I'm like all in, and we agree, if you're going to do that, you need to be all in. You need to be dedicated, because you don't want to waste that time looking back thinking you didn't give it all to get that result that you wanted. and you knew right then you're a person that's like, hey, I want to do this, and you're like, fuck yeah, and you jump in and you go hard. So if you're having that hesitation, that was probably your first indication to be like, okay, let's step back here for a second and unpack this, because you're very, very aware of, you know, what your actions are meaning from like a different standpoint than just like on the surface level, if that makes sense. So leading into our next question then, because again, we could talk for hours and hours and hours.
Sorry.
No, we totally do.
No, I want to, but I'm just like, oh man, we still have like 3 or 4 questions to go at least. So now that we're kind of like more in the lighter, fluffier stages, what are some things that you have done to help redirect your body image patterns that are negative? So what are some of the like tips and things that you do to hype yourself up, to remind yourself you're the badass bitch that you are?
Dang. Well, let me tell you. Honestly, I focus on the feeling. How do I want to feel when I'm at the gym? How do I want to feel when I'm in the shower? How do I want to feel when I'm, you know, dancing around the kitchen with my kids? And how do I want to feel when I'm doing something? And then you have a thought behind it, you know, because our thoughts create our feelings. So if you want to feel strong and confident when you're at the gym, you're going to think certain things. If you don't feel confident in the gym, you're going to think other things. So for me, I'm tired of trying to outwork myself and being in that exhaustion mode all the time. So now I'm just like, okay, I don't want to outwork myself anymore. How do I want to feel? This is how I want to feel? Cool. My goal for this summer is to, focus on, oh, we're going to the river? Cool. I'll grab my bathing suit and my shorts, away you go. Not, oh, I need an hour because I need to rip out every single bathing suit that I have, pick out the one that makes me look the least fat, you know, and then have a few backups in case I get dirty or in case this happens, or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just...
Or something to cover yourself.
Yeah. Like, I'm over it. Like, cool, we're going to...
Just releasing that.
Yes. And not spending so much time on what I want to look like, but more how I want to feel. Yeah. I would think that's my main focus. And it's gotten me through a lot of situations in this past year. Whereas before I would have definitely circled into this, you know, rabbit hole of I look like shit. So
totally. I love that. So kind of funny, it's telling us that it can only record for 60 minutes of time. So we're on 54, which is fine. We'll keep going. But if it cuts all of us off, I'll just send it again and everyone can just reconnect and we'll just start at the next question. Cool. But yeah, Kayla, if you want to do the I don't know if it answers how do you feel now, but we could do that. There's really only a couple questions left. So
yeah, did we
be okay?
Did we leave off at do you feel supported? Is that where I am? Okay.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sorry, yeah. So
So with that, Lexi, after what your response to the previous question, how do you feel supported in life to talk about this stuff?
Yes and no. Yes, when people ask me, but it's not something that I just will start talking about. And to be honest, not a lot of people ask me. Yeah. So just to the general public, I'm not in a place where I'm just going to start rattling off, you know, all those things. But when someone asks me, yeah, I do. I feel very supported. Because usually the people who are asking me are people in the same women who are in the same boat or women who want to get there.
I love that.
So
yeah, you feel very safe in that
space.
Yeah,
100%. Yep.
And so now with everything that you've gone through, how would you say you're feeling now? It sounds like you've done obviously a lot of work in your brain thoughts and your patterns and, you know, what's really worth your time and energy. So how would you say overall do you feel now in your body image versus say like your worst time ever?
Oh, it's night and day. It's honestly night and day. At my worst, I would spend hours looking and pinching and sucking and pushing and, you know, and just hours a day focusing on food and what I can have, what I can't have. And now I feel like, I mean, that's maybe down to 20 minutes a day, which 20 minutes a day worrying about things, I would say isn't terrible from where I came from. So
totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is night and day though, for sure.
I love that. I'm so happy for
Oh,
you.
thank
Okay,
you.
so we're still going. I think it's gonna might
All right.
cut us off soon, but
We got a few minutes left.
this one,
3
okay.
minutes.
Is this? Yeah, this is me.
and is
Okay,
that
so
you?
we asked how
Is that
you
you?
felt in your night and
No, it's
day.
you.
So then, is there anything that you would want to try to do better or change to the perception of yourself? I think I maybe asked that kind of weird. I'm like,
It's okay.
because the question, like, if I read it just
Try
right out,
again.
is what do you want to try to do better with your own perception of yourself? Okay.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. With my own perception of myself, I think just that consistency, and I wish that I had figured out all of this sooner. I was not taught any of this growing up. I had no one, who was interested about how I felt about my body. No one asked me at 10 or 15 years old, how do you feel about your body?
Totally.
It was always, this is what you're expected to look like, not how do you want to look, or do you even have an opinion about how you look? And I think I wish I would have done that sooner. But then, you should hear some of my daughters in my conversations. It's already starting, because I don't want her to have to figure that out at 30. I want her to have this figured out and have the tools when she's 12, because then she'll never waste 20 years of her life thinking thinking that her body has to look a certain way. I want her to have the tools that I have now at her age when she's 10. And then so much time, just won't get wasted for her. So
Absolutely. And then you're just setting her up better with the knowledge of what you're doing, so that I'm sure she'll have her moments, but she'll be better prepared and feel totally loved and supported and more educated in fighting that. And I think that's the whole point of parenting, is just doing better for the next generation to do better, do better.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
All right, Lexi. So I think you pretty much summed up everything here, but if you could go back and tell your teenage self a piece of advice strictly about body image, what would you say to her?
Oh gosh.
I know, I'm sorry, it's so cliche, but it's always great to hear what people say, because maybe when Bria listens to this, she'll hold on to that.
Oh, you'll make me cry.
Just add it on there. Just
yeah. If you could see me in my closet crying. No, I'm kidding.
Please take a picture.
I think I would just say that everything is gonna turn out all right. Like, you're gonna be all right. And I think that's a tough one, because I think I had to experience certain things to get to this point.
Absolutely.
So I would never say to myself, younger, like, don't care what other people think. Don't this, don't that. I think just the reminder that, you're going to go through some shit. Stay true to yourself, and everything's going to be okay. And just try and share that as much as you can. I do wish that I shared more of my experiences early on too. For sure. Because now, going back to it, a lot of it's just a memory, and I wasn't as adamant on sharing that kind of stuff as I am now. So I would go back and share more. But that's a tough one.
Give her strength to share her story, and that there's validity. I can never say that word. Validity, whatever the fuck.
Validity.
In your story.
Validity.
Yeah, fucking whatever.
French
word. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And that just kind of affirms that, like, and I think that's my favorite thing about you, is that you're the furthest person from toxic positivity, because you're super positive, but you're also super real. So it's like, I'm not going to tell you, if you just ignore what everyone says, your life is going to be rainbows. It's not going to be. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to go through some shit, but you're going to be fine, and you're going to come out of this more amazing and the person that you wanted to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't run from those bad experiences, because it's going to happen.
Exactly.
Just know that you can weather that storm and be okay to share your story, right? But everything's divine timing. I feel the same way. I wish I would have shared this before, but I don't know that I'd be strong enough to handle doing it then. So and hey, we wouldn't all be together to do this then.
I know. I love this so much. Right? And I think when people, women especially, I think we always think that other people have the answers. And that's so not true. We have all the answers we need, and we forget that. And we dive into other people thinking that they have the answers that we need. And then we end up disappointed. And I think that comes back to body image too, because if it's okay to not like your body in certain stages, but then have a plan, what are you going to do? Not what does other people want me to look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's such a difference between the two.
Oh, absolutely. And taking care of yourself for the health of it, not for the aesthetic part of it. And mostly if you're doing it for the aesthetics, I mean, yes, it's for us for sure. But usually I find most people are, when they're doing the aesthetics after, they're like, yeah, I was doing that for somebody else.
Yes. Yep.
Because that wasn't going to make me feel good once I got to that aesthetic point. And I knew that, but I felt like I would do better service, or that this person would like me more. That guy at the gym would notice me, or my, husband or boyfriend would think I'm sexy, or whatever, whatever outside validation you're getting, you think that it'll attach to that. But
yes.
Alas, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No.
Did you just say alas?
I did.
I love you.
I don't even know where I got it from, but here we are.
Oh my God.
You made it sound exciting. So
I was excited.
Yeah.
I know, I'm
alas.
excited for us.
Yes.
It's like aha.
Uh-huh.
A clever, fancy, or classy, or aha.
Yes.
That's my
Right?
favorite.
To balance out the complete fuckery that is my life. So is there anything, I know we've said this a few times, that I just want to reiterate it 1,000 times. We're all very aware that body image is not going to be something we can cover in a couple-hour podcast for sure. There's so much to it, and we're going to break things down more. But that being said, with what we have today here, Lexi, is there anything that we missed, or any story or piece of advice that you would like to end your interview with us today for the world?
I feel like I talked a lot. And I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, you're right. We could go on and on and on. And I think that might be, an evolution where every few months we do kind of touch on that or whatever. But no, I don't have anything else to say.
Good. No, I'm glad. That means that we've portrayed everything of your story in a way that you feel good sharing it. So that is absolutely perfect.
Yeah. You guys are perfect.
You're perfect. Look at this.
Perfect.
Just know, guys, when you come on the show, you're going to get just given love. And this is how we drive people to come into our show, is that we just love them and hone them in.
And the best part is that you two have never even met in real life.
No,
isn't that weird?
It's magical. Like,
facts.
I just think it's the greatest fucking thing ever.
It's like Biggie's song, "It Was All a Dream,"
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this.
Do you want me to start rapping?
I might.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though, because it was in the summer when you were. So here's this thing: you and this girl Kayla, you guys share a lot of the same stuff. I'm like, well, what kind of stuff? Yeah. And it was like not just like spiritual,
the shit no one wants
motivation.
to talk about.
Yeah, that. And then it was like, oh yeah, and she'll talk to conspiracies with you. And at that time, I really was into it, and I was like, somebody talk to me about this. And so it was really great. We've been able to take each other out of rabbit holes several times. So it's been a very healthy relationship.
I love it.
Healthy and constructive in all the ways.
Yeah, exactly. And that's okay that you talked a lot, because we've asked for that. And that's the whole point of these shows. There's no limitation to what any episode will be, because we want information out there, and the more, the better. So thank you for giving us content and sharing your story and giving a different perspective into someone else's body image, like you said, because not everyone's going to relate to my story, and not everyone's going to relate to Kayla's story or Jeremy's or Kirsten. So we want, all these different perspectives. So thank you very much for giving us yours.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. That was awesome.
Sorry, Kayla, I totally stole that.
No, that's
you.
okay.
You go ahead.
We were really, I just love that you came and gave us, like Brandy said, you gave us a different point of view, because both of mine and Brandy's answers were kind of like, we started having the same crap happen to us relatively at the same times. Like, it was very young in our lives. And then, so I love that you came and you had a different opinion and a different, experience with it, and where you're at and how it affected you, like when it started for you, where you're at now, and how it affected you all around, is amazing to hear a different side, because the strength that comes out of you when you're speaking about it is pretty amazing. So it's really great.
Well, you guys hold such space for that, so thank you.
You taught us that. Don't even
Oh,
not try to
Yeah,
take
you
credit.
did.
It was like you taught us these little things, and then you went and did your life shit so that all the tools you gave us, we just helped you through that. Like, I see what you did.
oh my
I'm
God.
very aware.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
not all of it.
I'll
I'll
take
take credit for it, but you guys get to take credit for teaching us these things so that we could support you, and that's the whole point of the community and a group like this, right? Is being able to all help. Like, you two could talk about kids. I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about cats? Now Lexi can talk. She's had a cat.
I got
Oh,
Yoshi.
You got Yoshi.
I love
So,
Yoshi.
Yoshi's
but that being
amazing.
said, Kayla's obsessed with the cat. So, that's the beautiful thing of having a group of friends, is being able to have support in different aspects where you relate the most. And I think that's why we really wanted to build this community, so that we can all come together, and then those that relate on certain topics can support each other in that.
Yep. And I think that's amazing what you guys are doing. Honestly,
Thank you.
and I think this is just the beginning for that. I think you're gonna have a lot more women and men wanting to share their stories. So
yes, watch out, motherfuckers.
watch
We're coming.
out.
We're doing it.
We're doing
we're totally going to be unprofessional for the first year or two, but we'll get there. Just kidding.
It is
Whatever.
What, it is.
What even is professional? Like, fuck.
I don't know.
Yeah, what's
I'm not
professional
sure.
since COVID happened? Because I'm pretty sure everyone wears business up top and party down below.
I know
I'm pretty sure
am.
that's how it goes.
Totally. I love that. Well, thank you again so much, Lexi, for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We love your story.
Loved it.
I love you guys.
Thank you. And we'll go on to our second guest of the show, guys.